Now here is the condensed narrative of my book, Homo Americanus. Again, I'm very suspicious. I've heard some big terms here like imperialism, Zionism, and this is all fine, but I guess we have to look a little bit deeper at the issues. And the same thing with the expression anti-Americanism or un-American. These are adjectives, as you certainly know. What do they mean? Well, believe it or not, some of the worst anti-Americans were not Europeans, but Americans themselves. You may be familiar with the name Francis Yockey. He wrote a nice book, Imperium. Then Ezra Pound himself, he was in fact even after the Second World War, we talk about Bukowski and Solzhenitsyn, how they went to psychiatric asylum, but actually the Americans created the first asylums for their dissidents or for their heretics. So we always have to put things in perspective. So great people like, Francis Yockey, he died mysteriously, and I guess we should probably read Francis Yockey. He's now available in French as well, because it gives you an idea that we are actually dealing with, and in many sense he was the predecessor of what our new right here in Europe, what is talking about. I would also suggest you Revilo Olivier. Is a very good style, very good narrative, so I don't know if things are translated by him, but you might want to read him in English. He understood very much this American mindset. Now, when we talk about anti-Americanism, Americanism, basically we use it as what? You mentioned that implicitly here. As a code word for what? Zionism. Let me give you some explicit examples. And I usually don't like dealing with daily politics because I always like viewing things beyond daily politics. But after the American invasion of Iraq, or rather commitment, let's put it more euphemistically, of the United States of America in Iraq in 2003, there was a flurry, flurry was a rise of patriotism among Jews in America. All of a sudden they became very big patriots, And I remember that quite succinctly. So to some extent there is even a growing tendency now, and I'm talking about semantics, those semantics shifts, glissement sémantique, of conflating, of associating words of anti-Semitism with anti-Americanism. Can you follow me on that, all right? I'm saying this because very often if you criticize the United States of America in the media, or for that matter even in academia, of course, you can be charged, well not charged legally, but you can be accused of being an anti-Semite, and vice versa. Let me read you a very interesting point that I'm also quoting, just a paragraph by, and I could give you many, many more. Alvin Rosenfeld, of course is a Jewish American, wrote recently, I'm quoting, anti-Americanism is always similar to anti-Semitism. They relate to each other and empirically are almost always in close proximity, even if not totally identical. The overlapping bias between them has become more pronounced since the end of the Second World War. So do pay attention to what type of a language, or rather meta-language, you use when you describe critically the American imperialism, or for that matter, American commitment overseas and different foreign policy endeavors on the part of the American elites in different parts of the world. They are frequently conflated, they are frequently associated with the, you can call it Zionist agenda, which is again a code word for Jewish, because the fact of the matter is, and this is, everybody knows that in America, despite the fact that everybody pretends not to be knowing that, but everybody knows that, there's no question that 2% of Jews, they make about 3% of the America's population, they literally control, they're in fact in charge of the media, which is opinion making, right? And what else? The imagery of the world that we have, the conceptualization, which is Hollywood, if you want to use the symbol Hollywood, and the New York Times, you could say that way. So everybody knows that the people are becoming more and more aware of that. You notice that on the daily basis. And the reason I'm telling you that because there is frequently this assumption among many intelligent and very fine people in academics in both left and right in America, that America is pursuing its policy because of some consensus among the American people. This is not quite so. I frankly do not have much time to go into details because I don't believe in conspiracy theories, to say the least. I think for me conspiracy theories are basically alibis for sloth, if you wish, for intellectual laziness. When somebody starts talking about the Rotary Club or whatever their names are, or Rothschilds, of course they wield a certain power, but they're not that crucial in shaping the American foreign policy. And we'll come to that in a second. I'll make my major point in a short